Somebody else state that somebody
that wasn't Graham.
No, it wasn't Graham, but there was somebody in Arizona. And so if you don't mind, I want to showcase some of the deals we're doing right now with Graham. I know he's not on, or maybe he is, but we got a deal we're doing with Graham that we're buying for $2 million, probably less than $50,000 to fix, and the property already appraised at about $2.9 million. How'd you like them apples? We have an incredible deal with one of our great partners, Ed Lindsay, going on. We're buying it for $275. It needs about $60,000 worth of work. And that's worth about what? Do you remember, Julie's at 330?
No, it's 450 to 500. I'm still nailing that down.
Okay, that's $100,000 mistake I am proud that I made. We got an incredible partner, Francisco, and Julie. Actually, the inspection just came up back on this deal. But we're buying it for $900,000, needs about $60,000 worth of work, and it appraised for $1.5 million. It's about a $500,000 cool spread there, and on and on. So the best way I could summarize what Julie and I do is we do deals just like this with partners all over the United States. And we're always in a hunt for new partners. We always want to do more deals. So if you're not a partner here tonight and you've been following Julie and I, maybe through these webinars, maybe through our daily emails, maybe through social media, and you're like, it's time. It's time for me to level up in life. It's time for me to get to the levels I want to do it, and I want to do it in the real estate business. Then tonight is a great night for you to get started with us. If somebody could put in chat, we have a couple team members on standby tonight that are going to be available to answer whatever questions that you may have. Or if you're ready to get going, they can get you started as early as tonight. And I don't even know what the number is. Hopefully somebody has it there in the background and could put it in there. Do you remember what the number is, Julie?
No, I don't. And I forgot to go over that with the person that is handling the webinar this evening. So if you would like to learn more,
go actually text Patrice Roth in the background there, and she'll give you that phone number. And anyway, well, let's go ahead and get started. Guys, we want to talk to you about something very relevant tonight, and that is the holiday time, right? And this is a very fair question. What should I do during holidays? But by the way, Julie and I and our other partners were just on a call about an hour ago, and there's some corporate decisions that we're making here. And part of the decision-making process was that, hey, we're going into the holidays. Like as we make these decisions, how do the holidays influence what we decide? And I could tell you in the real estate business, let's say, I'd say if you walk into probably 10 random real estate realtor offices right around now going into December, you know what you're going to realize? There's nothing going on there. You're going to realize there's no sales meetings going on. It's very quiet. This is kind of how I look at what you do over the next month or two as far as real estate investing is concerned. There's always a reason to do something, and there's always a reason not to do something. Always. I always tell people there is never the perfect time to be successful. Like the success doesn't come down from heavens one day and say, okay, it is now time. We have now put 30,000 different things together, and it is time. And that's really how the holidays on. And so what I've learned after being personally an investor for a couple of decades now is that holidays is a time for people to do usually one of two things: fall ahead or fall behind. That's it. And it's a decision. It's not a decision that's determined by the holidays. It's mostly always a decision determined by the individual. For those of us that are not quite 100% committed to our future, and by the way, I've been there, so I'm including myself in there. For those of us that are not what I call all in, for those of us that still have some things that need to be overcome on the road to success. Holiday is a perfect time to slow down. Holiday is a perfect time to take a step back. Holiday is a perfect time to, put it all on hold. But my argument is quite different to what holiday time means to us here at Partner Driven. I held up this list a couple minutes ago, and I've never had a list of deals that we're working on like this. What we do here at Partner Driven is once a week, we get together with our back office staff, and we literally just go over all the deals that we have going on. And we do it through Zoom, like we're doing it here, through Google Docs. And I can usually look at that Google Docs and formulate in my head what needs to take place. I could tell you right now, we are absolutely in the abundance stage of deals. We are literally doing more deals than we have ever have with our partners for the years that have been partnering with our partners. And so if somebody were to look at me right now and say, well, Pete, we're about, it's, 2 weeks or 1 week, I'm not even sure what, but a week or two away from Thanksgiving. We're then rolling into obviously December. Oh, by the way, for those of you that don't know, I have a baby doing this. So Thanksgiving, baby due, Christmas, New Year's. And like I said, there's some other
anniversary.
I mean, it's just like talk about next. So now think about how silly what I'm about to say. I could say, you know what? Let's stop. Let's just stop. Because there's every reason to stop. I mean, we're going to be eating turkey. We're going to have relatives over a couple days from now. Julie and Zabalas and I, we're getting together for kind of a partner dinner. So literally, I bet I can roll out for the next 6 weeks, something going on forget 6 weeks. I'm talking about probably 10 weeks. For the next 10 weeks, something going on tied into the time of the year. But if we were to do that, we would literally put on hold. And by the way, in real estate, there's nothing putting on hold. You're going to throw it away because someone else is going to grab it. We could literally say, forget about $2 million of the profits. Or we could say we're just going to blow through the holidays. And if nothing else, if anything, we're going to actually increase. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. Not only are we going to capture what we have going on right now, but we're actually going to level up and we're going to increase. So from my personal opinion, and I want to ask yours, Julie, from my personal opinion, holidays is what you make of them. Understand, we are in a real estate investing business. Now listen, this is very important. Real estate investing works off not the time of the year, but by motivation of the seller. And the motivation of the seller is not influenced by the time of the year. What are some motivating factors? Divorce, sickness, job change. We're coming out of COVID with what's going on with foreclosures. None of those things are influenced, upsizing, downsizing. So the interesting thing is, it could be argued in the retail side of things. Like if I'm just a homeowner, yeah, I could see probably not wanting to list my house December 20th. That probably, right? But in the investor world, because we do not work off convenience, we actually work off inconvenience because we're working off motivating factors, which these motivating factors, like if you get bad news from a hospital, or if your husband or wife serves you with a divorce, or if all of a sudden your bank is now allowed to foreclose on you, they do not distinguish between January, February, March, April, December, November. So it actually could be argued, and now this is a very important point, listen to me here. It could be argued, and this is a very valid argument to make, since motivating factors are not influenced by the time of the year, but time of the year does affect the people doing this business, because I promise you, there will be a lot of investors going onto the sideline here. So what that means, you have less competition. for a lot more inventory. The reason I say more is because with all these pre-foreclosures, and I know tonight we're not getting all that, but because of all these new pre-foreclosures that are taking place, there's actually going to be more pent-up demand for a lot of people to sell and less competition. So I would say if you're an investor right now, whether you're with us or you're doing this by yourself, and you're trying to figure out, well, what do I do? Do I shut it down for the next month or two like so many of my friends are? Or do I actually kick it into next gear? My suggestion is kick it into next gear. Less competition and more opportunities. This is the time to really, really take advantage of what the market has to give us. And I can tell you here at Partner Driven, I'm sure there'll be time off. I'm sure there'll be Thanksgivings that us and the team take, and the Christmases, the New Year's. I'm not saying anything radical. But what I am saying is, don't look at holiday time as, well, I take a month off. Don't look at holiday time as, well, I guess from like they do in college. Like my daughter goes from Thanksgiving, Julie, I don't even know if you know this. I mean, your daughter's just going in, but in college, they go from a lot of schools, they leave on Thanksgiving. They don't even come back till January, right? Well, not in this business. I could tell you right now, we are literally sitting, and Julie we were just talking about this, I think yesterday, maybe, or today, that, with all of these things caused, now that we're coming out of COVID, with all these pre-foreclosures, a lot of people were saying it's not going to be, it's all overstated by the media. There's not going to be anyone in trouble. It's just the media's trying. That is not true. That is absolutely not true. And it just so happens, again, because motivation doesn't have a timeline and motivation doesn't, recognize seasons. A lot of it's taking place right now. As a matter of fact, this deal, Julie, this deal that I just pointed out to you from Graham that we're buying for $2 million and it's worth almost $3 million. I don't know if you know the scenario, but it is exactly this COVID scenario. You're on mute.
I said, so is Ed's deal.
Yeah. These are people that went into COVID. I mean, went into COVID. The government said, quit paying, or you don't have to pay. When the government says you don't have to pay, that's like them saying, quit paying. So this guy stops paying on a multi-million-dollar house. Listen to this. This is so fascinating. During COVID, this guy goes $1.7 million in arrears. Think about this house, Julie, to go when did you hear somebody going 1.7? So this is like a business decision this guy made. He said, okay, so I could pay $1.7 million in mortgage, right? Or I could just hold on to it. And then when the whole thing ends, like it's ending now, he's like, I got an extra 1.7 million in. So he just made a business decision. It was like a very tactical decision. So now, because motivation doesn't have seasons, and in Arizona, they're coming into, they're able to start now taking the houses back through REOs. He's just like, okay, I got my 1.7 in my pocket. I want another. The reason it's not 1.7, but the price is actually 2 million to us because he wants a couple $100,000 in his pocket. It's fine. And then we're able to step in, put about 50 or 60 of work into it and all that. So Jolie, what's your overall opinion on the time, the seasons and holidays and all that?
Well, really for me, and I definitely agree with everything that you just said, right? But real estate is such a business of follow-up, right? So let's say like today, you negotiate a deal with somebody today. Realistically, with the way that the title companies and the speed that they're working right now, you're not closing on a deal before 30 or 40 days. Now, I know a lot of you are like, that's crazy because you tell people you can close quick. It doesn't matter if we want to close quick. Title companies and attorneys aren't moving that fast. So even if everything went perfect today, you're not going to realize the deal for at least a month and a half away. So the biggest issue that I see or that I've seen in the past, and actually I learned this lesson because I made this mistake. Well, let's turn down the pipeline in November and December. Guess what happens to your February and March of next year? I'm not even worried about today. With this being a business of follow-up, the business that you stack now, the follow-ups that you stack now are your first quarter deals. If you skip a month and a half now and don't hit it hard, when you're ready to really hit it hard beginning of next year, you're not going to have enough in your pipeline. So I consider this time to literally feed and feed and feed my pipeline. Like, if I were to slow down, or if I were to tell people to slow down, I realize that their profits are not going to be met to where they need to be next year. So again, just like Peter said, I'm not saying don't spend time with your family on the holidays, right? But don't get lackadaisical watching Lifetime movies, right? Take this time to build up deals. And like, here's another thing. So we were on the phone with a seller the other day. It was Shannon, in Philadelphia. And we were talking to a seller, and he's got a tenant in the property. The tenant's month to month. So and the tenant knows he has to move. Well, do we as investors, or even the seller, or even Shannon and I, do we want to serve somebody notice a week and then have to be out of their house a week before Christmas? No, I don't want to do that. Right? So the gentleman literally says to me, he goes, yeah, I want to wait till after the Christmas is over and give him extra time. So maybe just call me back into December. My answer to that is, let's do a deal now, and I'll specify in the contract that we won't close until January. So what you're going to see is you're going to see a lot of people that say, I don't want to sell now. I want to sell in January. And you know what you're going to say? Okay, cool. I'll follow up with you January 1st, January, 5th. Contracts can be changed to specify somebody's needs. If you don't grab the contracts, they will then have enough time to work with somebody else. So it's twofold. Build your follow-ups now as big as you can make them. Because like Peter said, a lot of the competition's gone. This is a perfect time for you to get in there and build this stack huge. Because then come January, February, you're doing deal after deal after deal after deal. I remember, obviously very clearly that, Peter and I ran an investment company. Our biggest month of the year, Peter, was February and March of every year. That business was not gathered in January. That business started October, November, December of the year prior. Most deals require follow-up. They require a finesse. They require a lot of things. So most deals, you're not just going to close immediately on your first call or your first meeting. But the more of those you have stacked up, the better off you're going to be. Also know this, a seller that needs to sell during this time of year is actually probably more motivated than any other time of the year. And you've got to step back a little bit and go into what can I do to help you to best suit your needs, right? Some people too, Pete, at the end of 2021 is the end of tax season as well. Sometimes sellers need to sell this particular tax year, all right, to take certain tax advantages, right? Some people need to wait till January 1st of 2020 till a new tax year. the point is that this is not the time to slow down. It's the time to speed up. It's the time to where you're going to have the biggest opportunity to build this out. Now, we haven't really talked about this on a webinar. Maybe you guys have seen this. I'm going to give you a couple more reasons. This is not hearsay. And I'm jumping on this. I mean, everybody can do what they want to, but does everybody aware? Give me a yes in the chat. Is everybody aware that the company Zillow purchases real estate? Give me a yes in the chat. So what's going on is Zillow was going out, and guess what they were doing? They were buying properties at market value. Now, when people ask me, Julie, how do I compete with that? I would say, well, number one, you're not a big, huge company like they are. And number two, I always thought, how could they do this? They stopped purchasing homes. They're already in the works of laying off, 25% of their staff. It's upside down. So the mentality of sellers has changed. Even over the last 2 weeks, I'm starting to get messages on my Facebook, and I've not marketed myself in a minute. Julie, I want to sell my house. So there's a lot of things that are going on that is something that you need to get ahead. You don't have that competition anymore. And let me tell you, that was a big competition, right? So all of these things are lining up, and you need your stacks. I mean, and I wished I had notebooks. You need stacks upon stacks upon stacks in a side of a CRM of deals. Now's the time to fill your coffer. Now's the time to build those systems. Because again, what did I say earlier? Even if you start a deal today, the likelihood of you closing it in the next 30 days is going to be hard. Not because the money's not there, simply because counties and banks, and they're just taking longer than they used to. So, I see a lot of good things for investors. Now, again, when I say that, I don't mean that I want our American people to be suffering from anything. By no means. It is always my dream to make it a win-win for all of us, right? But you being able to go in and buy somebody's home prior to them losing it back to the bank, or them losing it to something else, and saving their credit, their sanity. These are all things that we can do, but you've got to be in front of this thing. And the holidays are coming, yes, and it's a beautiful time, but 1000% now is the time to get on this thing. Okay. I want to be like this, like you really got to push forward and get on it. I mean, because that's my message to everybody.
Yeah, there's no question. There's something else you hit on that's very important. And, because let's face it, a lot of people do take time off during this time. But I always share with people, real estate is a business of momentum. It really is. Either you have it, which means you're rock and rolling, or you don't. And if you don't, you've been there. For those of us that have been there, know you're pretty much just stagnant and you're stale. And you don't want to lose momentum. Because, Julie was saying, hey, we're starting deals now and it's taking 30 to 40 days to close. That's reality. But that's like after we're starting a deal. Do you know how much time it takes to get a deal started? The marketing, the negotiations, the numbers you got to go through, the no's you got to get to finally get a deal. And then you're packing another 30 to 40 days on top of that. So realistically, if you make a decision that in the next month to month and a half, I'm taking time off, and man, but I'm going to hit it hard starting in January. You're potentially looking at like this next month and a half. And if you're going to just hit it in January, you're potentially looking at not having, and this is if everything works out right, you're potentially looking at not doing any deal till like March or April of next month. So the decision you make now, what you do over the next several years, like in essence, it's like a half a year decision. It really is a half a year decision. So remember, this is really not a decision about the holidays. This is no different than a decision that most people make on a daily basis. What do I do today? What do I do today? And let's face it, if you're not in the mode of chasing your dreams, if you're not in the mode of chasing your goals, if you're not in the mode of making things happen, it don't really matter if it's the holidays or not, anything, right? There's always a million reasons not to do something.
I don't know, Peter, getting that credit card statement in January from December might motivate you.
Yes, there are motivating factors, you're right, to do it. Unfortunately, many times they're not as strong as the motivating factors not to do it. As a matter of fact, I know we record these, Julie, and here's what I want to do. Right around, I don't know, mid-January, I want you and I to do another one of these together, right? And I want us to kind of spend the first half hour replaying some of the highlights of what we talked about today, okay? Because we've already made a corporate decision here at Partner Driven that we're not slowing down. And a huge majority of our partners have already made a decision that during the holidays, we're not slowing down. And right around mid-January, I wanted to take some highlights, some snippets out of this webinar we're doing here tonight. And I want to play it back. And I want us to kind of dissect around mid-January what's taking place. Because I could tell you, well, as I said when we got started, we're literally in the middle of this incredible influx of deals here at Partner Driven. And what is it, 56? 56. You know, we're working towards taking 56 deals to closing, guys. I can tell you that's phenomenal. You know, for those of you that may not understand what that is, that's not like 56 contracts we're trying to put out. That's not like 56 sellers we're trying to connect with. These are like deals that have gone through the scrutiny, and now we're taking them towards closing. It's phenomenal. And we here have already made a decision that we're blowing through the holidays. We're actually going to utilize the holidays as a time to take advantage of the same motivation, even pent up, but less competition. We're going to not take advantage, but we're going to capitalize by helping a lot of homeowners that are in pre-foreclosures. Think about this. If you know you're going to lose your home and it's the holiday time, like what better present can you receive than to somebody say, hey, listen, I can help you. You don't have to get a mark on your credit. You don't have to go foreclosure. You don't have to have a potential lawsuit. You don't have to lose your credit for the next 8 years. You don't have to do any of that. Oh, and on top of that, we can put some money in your pocket, right? I mean, that's like a blessing. That's like a blessing to a lot of people during the holiday time that they're not even thinking of it. Here's the crazy thing about it. A lot of people don't even realize that's possible. A lot of people who are behind on payments, they just kind of think, okay, well, the next step is I lose my house. I potentially get a lawsuit. I lose my credit. And for the next 7 or 8 years, I have a scarlet letter on my chest. They buy into that. They just think that is the way it is. And during the holiday time, not only can we put ourselves in a position of doing more deals, but during the holiday time, we could literally be a blessing to a lot of families that don't even know there's opportunities for them to avoid everything I just said and even put money in their pockets as they make moves to their next destinations. So I know for some of you, this may not be what you wanted to hear. For some people listening to us tonight, the message that you thought we're going to deliver is, hey, this is when we all kick back and celebrate and look back at the last 12 months and plan out the next 12 months and do a 3-week retreat to see what's possible and shut it all down. And no, that's not what we do here over the next.
I want to retreat in the summer, maybe, or the spring.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. The time will come for all that. And by the way, we are partner driven. We do enjoy. We've taken a number of trips together. We've met a number of our partners on a number of trips this year. So don't think that we're just so hard-headed that it's all business. It really is not here, partner driven. We just happen to choose a business that gives us the ability not only to be successful on the financial side, but also reap the rewards of the lifestyle side. Mm-hmm. But we do not buy in to the premise that during November and December, you shut it down. We actually buy into a totally different premise, that during November and during December, there's an opportunity to take it a step up. We buy into the premise here that this literally, now listen to this literally could be the best month and a half of this last 12 months. You know, you might find yourself here in the middle of November thinking, gosh, the last 12 months did not get me what I wanted to get. You might find yourself in the latter stages of this year saying, gosh, I had all these goals and I had all these aspirations, and, you know, here it is, we're in a holiday season and I'm not there. But I will tell you, literally in the next month and a half, Julie, did you say was it last year, February was our best month?
Yeah, February and March has been our best months in probably 5 years.
And why do you guys think that is? Do you think it's because like in January, we're like back to work from not being at work for the last 2 months? No, it's because we know this is the month and a half to not only take it up a notch, but to a degree, like play it out for the next year. Because here's one thing about real estate business, and this is what I just said a couple minutes ago. It is a momentum building business. My argument tonight is this is actually the best time to get momentum. And here's the thing about momentum. Momentum, it's kind of like going down a sled on a hill in snow. It just builds up. It just builds up. And the further down you go, the more momentum you're actually able to build up. And so the cool thing is, you know, sometimes people say, well, I get it, Pete. I get what you're saying. So like, if you want to have a good January, February, March, do this. Well, yes. But I'm also saying that as you build up momentum through these holiday times, not only will you reap the rewards in February, March, and April, but you'll have momentum during that time. And it's always easier to sustain momentum than to gain momentum. So,
you know, Peter, you know why you asked me, why is that the best months and why do I know? Because I already made this mistake. Like, I literally remember like 6-7 years ago, you know, I slowed everything down at the holidays because I started working with realtors a lot more, started a real estate team, and kind of let that get in my head. Guess what? My commission checks on the deals were slim to none in March and April, and I vowed to never do that again, because that's when I realized, like Peter said, it's easier to keep a wheel going. It's getting it started that's tough. And you should never have to restart your wheel. It should just always be turning. So that's kind of why I asked that.
Yeah, well, no, absolutely no question about it. All right, guys. Well, as you guys go into the next month and a half, I will tell you, the next month and a half could literally be a life changer for you. Life changing from a perspective that you're going to have less competition and more opportunities. Are you going to take advantage of it? Or are you going to take time off till the competition jumps back in and maybe opportunities aren't as rampant? We here at Partner Driven, with so many of our partners have made a decision that we're going to step it up a notch. And we have here, and this is why you see here more deals that I think Julie mentioned, 57 deals that we're taking to closing here.
Next 56.
56. Sorry. 56 deals that we're taking to closing here. If you're a partner here tonight, let's take it up a notch. If you're part of this momentum, you know who you are. Let's just keep on doing it. If you're not part of this momentum and you're like, well, that makes sense, I want to jump in, let's go. If you're a partner here tonight and you know you could take it up a notch, we challenge you here tonight to take up a notch. If you're not a partner here tonight and you're like, you know what, this is an incredible opportunity, the timing couldn't be any better, because literally the timing could not be any better. You may have been following Julie and I for a while here, and you're ready to get started. You may have a couple more questions, but you're ready to rock and roll with us. We have some team members on standby here today at 770-746-8585. So 770-746-8585. You can give them a call and they'll answer any questions. And if you're ready to rock and roll, they get you started as early as tonight.
Hey, Peter,
Yes,
Rafa
sir.
here, jumping in for a second. Hey, awesome webinar tonight, guys. Thank you so much for the incredible information. You're absolutely right. It's definitely the time to turn it up. And there were a few really great questions inside the chat that I wanted to bring up, because there's people asking, it's like, all right, if we can turn it up, can you tell us the difference between the partner program and this new done for you program that we're beginning to hear a lot about, and we're beginning to see a lot of results from? And I don't know if we could take a moment, Peter, Julie, to share with them a little bit about the difference about this new program and what it's doing.
Julie?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I love talking about the different things that we offer, or different partnership levels. And, I failed to talk about this a lot because I'm very selective with who we bring in to what is called Partner Driven Max. So you guys heard everything that there is with Partner Driven, but for a few select people, I am working directly, myself and my team, Peter, to work with a few select people across America to literally share our team completely with yours. Okay. So the goal is that in real estate, there are a lot of necessary things that must take place to become successful, right, Pete? It's nice to have the right business formation. It's good to have branding, your websites, a good CRM system with a dialer, with automatic text messaging, automatic calls, automatic emails, knowing what list to pull, skip tracing that list to find the right phone numbers, the right email accounts, right? Building all of this stuff like a funnel to get you to a point to where you're talking to sellers that want to sell their house. Okay. So at Partner Driven, we put all of those tools and give all those tools to you. Okay. However, I have been doing something for a little while now, Peter and I have, and if you'll understand how much work it is, this is why him and I don't put it out there a ton. Okay. Or why we haven't put it out there in the past. But what we will do is we will take all of those tools, our team that built these things that I'm talking about, will put all this together for you, as well as hire and train someone whose job is literally to do nothing but get qualified leads on the phone for you. because I know if it was your job just to talk to people that want to sell their house, I don't matter what the price is. Okay. Because if somebody wants to sell their house and they give you a price, listen to me. Don't ever take the first price as whether that's a good lead or not. Everybody has to be cultivated. We're going to give you at least one of those opportunities every day. And of course, we're going to fund your deals. Of course, you're going to get complete one-on-one with Peter and myself and Barry, who, by the way, is a rock star, which I'm sure you've seen him on here. That is the difference between Partner Driven Max and Partner Driven. Partner Driven, we give you the tools, you do it. Partner Driven Max, we take those tools and do it for you. Because again, like I said, the more often you are talking to an actual seller and making an offer, the more likelihood you're going to be successful. If you're not making offers to sellers right now, you're a long way to closing a deal. I don't mean to be ugly about that, but that's all this business is about. So again, so that's really the difference between Partner Driven and Partner Driven Max. And if you would like to talk to one of my teams or myself about even if this is right for you, okay, then you can schedule a call. I think he put this up there. You can schedule that and be on there with me. Peter, what do you think the big difference is?
I'll tell you from a personal perspective, and I share this with people all the time,